Hi, a warm welcome to everyone who's watching. I'm Florian from lifesciencementor.com, and today I am talking about day 15 of my 180-day challenge. It's going to be about gaining more confidence by looking at 10 things you can do to get out of your comfort zone. Risky, scary, but once you do them, not as much. So there's actually several talks online that have looked at that, like getting out of your comfort zone. Noah Kagan had an interview with James Altucher, I think, where he talked about things like taking a photo with a stranger, just like that on the street, and other things that basically seem daring and gutsy on the first attempt, but are actually not that difficult once you did them. Now, once you do them, can sometimes be a very, very huge step. So you want to actually go small steps forward, right? And I have actually selected a list of smaller and larger steps, what you can do, depending on how daring you are. And it has almost always something to do with getting against conventions that society has put on you, or being afraid that you could embarrass yourself in public, because it's a very natural reaction, right? You can actually, from if you think a few centuries and millennia back, when humans were still mainly hunter-gatherers, you had a small tribe, and God help you when you pissed off the tribe elder, because that meant you get sent out in the wild. No protection, away from your tribe, you have to fend for yourself, and there are actually lions and other tribes out there that will kill you. So you can imagine that there's a long tradition of maybe even genetic factors that have inoculated us to not be embarrassed, to try to not be embarrassed with anything we do. So try to stay the course, keep your head down, don't step out of the line. But then again, those people that founded a new direction, they had to step out the line. They had to do something unexpected. They had to be the first one to try something. And that can be a huge step. But once you've done it, it's easy. And so to do that, you have to get out of your comfort zone. There's another example, Terry Pratchett, in one of the stories, where you have a little grasshopper or little beetle that lives on a leaf, and it's so incredibly happy to live on this leaf, but it's afraid and scared to jump down of that leaf from that leaf, because the big bad world outside maybe just really have it out for him, right? But taking the outside perspective, you realize that there's a huge world outside, and if this little beetle would just venture to the next leaf, there would be so much to gain. And that's what I firmly believe. You step out of your comfort zone, you learn new facts, and that becomes your new reality. So basically, if that is your comfort zone, you can actually expand it. And then you do this leap of faith, and then you do a little bit more, and then you do a little bit more. And soon, you will start to not only rely on your very much self, but you learn to know more things from the world, and that you enhance your perspective. You get new ideas, right? If you can just walk up to strangers and talk to them, then you can win them for you. If you go to a room where there's a party and you're afraid to talk to people, then you will just sit in the corner. That was me for a long time. Maybe talk to one, two people and be happy when the whole party is over. But, I always looked with a little bit of envy to the people who would go around and work the room. And since I'm more of an introvert, I nourished that part of my personality, because introversion is relatively easy to nourish if you already have introvert tendencies, right? So rather than go to a big party, expose yourself to all those new experiences, no, You can be as happy in reading a book at home or playing with your computer, and therein lies a danger because on the long run, you choose the easy path, and then there's no development anymore. I remember one more story from my life. When I actually two stories. One of the two biggest influences in my life were joining two different social circles. One was one was a big orchestra, and I played cello since I'm 13 years old, so it's now since 25 years or more. And I played a little bit in school orchestras here and there, but a friend of mine was playing in a bigger orchestra, and I just kept contact with him. Um, we lost contact when we lost touch a little bit when I went to a different school. That was after grade 10. And then when I saw my class again on a trip to Hamburg, so he was in a small town close to Hamburg, Germany. I was moving to Hamburg and changed schools. And then my old class went to a day trip to Hamburg, and I came to visit them. And then he told me that in his orchestra they're looking for some cellos. I don't know what the plural in English is of cello. And so I joined, and it was a bit scary at first. And I was more or less he introduced me to people, and I didn't venture out to more people, but over time I learned it, and I got more integrated. And actually, that could be scary. You could say, no, I don't want to join another orchestra. I'm fine playing at home. Have another small group that I'm making music with. That's fine. I don't need to go out. But actually, being in an orchestra and being on a big stage, all that came after joining the orchestra was always a big step for me. But once I did that, there was so much more to gain, so many new experiences, because you step out of your comfort zone several times, and then the new experience, what was scary, now they become like second nature to you, right? And so you open your mind, and you don't feel yourself like in a confine or in a jail, what I sometimes thought. So I expanded, and even though it was scary at first, it did me some good. And then there was another group that played a fantasy role-playing soccer game, and I'm still part of that group. And one of my friends in university, he told me, Florian, we need a new player, and you have to, um, you have to listen to what I'm telling you, and you have to take part in this because this is going to be amazing. He was sort of the PR manager for that game, and so he won me over, and so I played, and they have their party once a year. So get together in Germany, in Cologne, with like all the players or most of them. And it was scary a little bit for me at first to go there. I didn't know anyone, right? And I went there, and I made friends, and now this is one of the groups that I'm still keeping very close contact with, and I'm still going there once a year. I mean, unfortunately, couldn't go this year, but over all the last years, I was always going. I think I missed like one or two out of 15 years. So that is something that has greatly enriched my life. So you basically want to go out and challenge your comfort zone and expand it, because you have much more to gain. You gain positive things for your life that last a lifetime, potentially, whether just stepping over your fear is just one step, no matter how hard it may seem. Okay, so here are the 10 steps you can do. There are tons more, but those were the ones I realized. So one is sing karaoke on an open mic night. You go to a room full of strangers and then you sing to them. And that may seem scary, but actually once you do it, it's not that big of a deal anymore, and you have a ton of fun. I haven't done it yet. That's something I'll do next. Um, Probably next weekend. But I heard from everyone who does it that it was a great experience, and looking at the people, they had tremendous levels of fun. So that's one. Karaoke on an open mic night. And I got that suggestion from Camadere. Number 2, walk up to a stranger and tell them you find him or her, no matter which sexual orientation and sex you are, attractive. That requires some guts. Most people are not willing to do that, exposing themselves so much. And there's a small disclaimer I have to do. I did that massively in 2013, 2014. I think I talked to, in total, between 1,000 and 1,500 women during that time. I just walked up to them on the street, say, hey, I just saw you passing by and I just think you are absolutely gorgeous. And I just said that. And first of all, I made sure I found her attractive, that I wouldn't like invent something. When I didn't find her attractive, wouldn't work, but I found her attractive, I walked up. And the reaction I got was very predictable. So 10% of people would just walk on, wouldn't really bother. We're like kind of disturbed that they were approached like in the middle of the day by a stranger. 10% really completely loved it. And the rest was somewhere in between. And that is actually my experience what you get. You have 10% of people you just can't win over. They will never be fan of yours. They will not like you, whatever you do. And then there are 10% of people that will be your fan before you said anything. And I talked to other people and looked at their notes and and it's very clear that there's always a small percentage of people that like you no matter what. But without walking up to these people, you won't know it, right? Because they are just as scared as you are. So to ease into that a little bit, because that may be a huge step, you can just walk up to a stranger per day and ask her for the time or for directions. Then you can up the ante a little bit. You can ask for what kind of coat or jacket they would recommend. Do they like your hairstyle, or something like that is a little bit more personal. And then over time you become more and more daring, and then in the end you can actually tell people, tell women, tell men you find them attractive on the street, stranger. Or you do it in a bar, there's a little bit more socially accepted, but it seems scarier than it is, but you can ease into that. And Chris from Good Looking Loser has actually a whole approach anxiety program that takes you through the program over 60 days, and that actually works pretty well. And you can already on a smaller scale just ask people for the time. And like 2 years ago when I started that, I started out with not being able to look at anyone, even across the street. That's how scared and introvert I was. And over time, I became more daring. The more you do that, the more people you approach, the easier it becomes. So that was number 2. Tell a stranger you find him or her attractive. Number 3, that's a favorite of mine. Go where you're not supposed to go. Right? People tell you all kind of things that you're supposed to do. Things are supposed to be done this way. Things are supposed to be done that way. Well, a lot of what people think things are supposed to be is bullshit. You just try it out for your own. So you often have, and that was very prevalent to me because I'm a German. As a German, you grow up especially in the mindset of obey the law. There are rules that need to be kept, need to be followed. But why? If you don't harm anyone. So, for example, there is a nightclub and there's an area cordoned off. Maybe you haven't seen the cordon there, you just step over it. There you are. So just step into these areas where you're not supposed to go. How often has it happened that you just were on a party and you just talk to someone and then all of a sudden you end up in a room that is a private room of the host without you intending to do that, right? You just wanted to put your coats on a pile in the designated room, and you take the wrong turn. You end up in the wrong room. So it's not that scary to go where you're not supposed to go, but it can seem like that when you think about it. So I encourage you to just make sure it's not really illegal, right? Maybe going into a police office and just going behind the counter there into the interrogation room or something like that. Maybe that's not the best idea, although you might feel free to try it. But there's so many instances where there's an area just cordoned off and nobody really knows why. Just step into that area, and just see how it feels. Number 4, skip the line. So in nightclubs, you often have the bouncer standing, and there's 2 lines, right? One is there's a huge line, the regular visitors, and then one entrance, there's just the VIP personnel. Now, I know people that are not VIP, but would just confidently walk up and go through the VIP entrance. If your group has several women in them, chances are you can just walk in anyway. But even if you're alone, just walk. Just next time, you just don't go in line. Just step to the other entrance and just go through confidently. The worst that can happen is the bouncer stops you and orders you back in line. But maybe he doesn't. Maybe just walk up confidently and then just go through. Or maybe not even try to be confident or anything. Just be friendly. Just walk there, be friendly, and just walk in. It works more often than you think. Number 5, stand up in a restaurant and tell a joke to everyone. Or tell your life story. So basically, you get up in a restaurant full of people, knock on the next glass or something. Can I get your attention? And then you just tell a joke. And then you sit down again. What happens, you think it's a big deal that you're in the middle of something, but it's actually not. People look up, and then they listen to you. Okay. And then they clap politely, and you're done. Maybe they will even turn back to what they were doing because they don't think it's so interesting what you're doing, right? Maybe if you drone on for very long, they'll most likely lose interest, right? The thing is that interest of people is sparked in the moment you get up. There's something new, and then when people see it's not really a change in the overall routine, they go back to what they were doing. So it's maybe a bit scary to just stand up, expose yourself, but on the long run, it's not a big deal. Number 6, tell a stranger a story, right? So you walk up to a stranger and, you just tell him a long story. It can be an embarrassing moment from your own life. It can be a longer life story. Just tell a stranger that. And it seems like you have a certain wish to not impose yourself on somebody else. At least that's what it was for me. But you just tell someone your story. And what if you don't know the person? So what? As I said before, 10% of people will absolutely like you no matter what you do. And then 40% more will somewhat like you. So they'll be at least polite and listen to you. And if they don't, just walk to the next person. They won't like come out and beat you up, something like that. Number 7, next time you're on the commute, you ask a passenger that's seated if you can have his or her seat. You just ask for it. And the surprising thing is that most people will actually comply. But can I, excuse me, I'm a little bit tired. Can I please have your seat? And see what happens. And even if they say no, then okay, so they don't give you their seat. All right, done. Then you continue standing. There's only an upside for you, right? You can keep standing, or you can just get a seat. And I think more people than you believe will comply. Call someone that you admire and ask him or her if he could meet up for coffee. Simple request. Um, some people will say no. The majority of people, they have things to do. But some people just may be willing to meet up. And the point of these exercises is not to get the coffee, to get the result. That would actually be great. But the point of these exercises is to do it, to expose yourself to these feelings. And the reason why we are hesitant to do that is also we don't want to impose ourselves. We want to like asking someone that's asking for commitment to someone. So what you can do is actually you can also offer something of value. You know, you can tell someone, hey, I really liked your last blog article, and I realize you may just be in town and I'm here, so if you want, I'd be free tomorrow afternoon. We can grab a quick coffee at that time. I have some ideas for your webpage how you can make it even better, and I'd like to discuss them in person with you. Maybe I was wondering whether you had like 10 minutes time to quickly meet up, because that's the easiest way. It's easier than writing it down now. And so that way you offer something of value to the person, and he or she can take it. Um, it's Mike Cernovich has written a whole article about being audacious. Just go and ask people, and the worst that can happen is, you know, they will say no, but some people will say yes. And so exposing yourself to the negative feelings of doing it, over time you get used to it, and then you'll have even some great meetups with a coffee, right? There's only an upside for you. Then I played in an orchestra for a longer while, and so I know when we played a concert, there was an extra orchestra backstage entrance, right? So nobody would really guard that entrance, so anyone could just walk in. And even a big orchestra, you don't even know who is there. It may be somebody's manager, somebody's friend. It may be some replacement player for brass. Um, just go through the artist's entrance, and then you can just ask where the stage is and go from the artist's entrance to the stage. Or you could even just talk to some of the musicians. Why not? I've never tried that since end of the 90s, since 99. So maybe it's not as easy anymore as it was. But just try it. Next time there's a concert, just walk into backstage. And the worst that can happen is some bouncers hold you back. But okay, then you tried it. And the number 10 is crash a party. You know, you walk outside and there's somewhere like a party going on in some of the apartments. So just ring the doorbell and then just walk in. Chances are that's not a closed off event. Lots of people bring other people that the host doesn't even know. So just walk in, chat up some people, and you're there. So that's my 10 ideas how you can get out of your comfort zone. I'd love to hear your suggestions, because God knows I'm not the most confident in all areas of life either, right? So some things scare me to death, but I know I have to do them to conquer my fear, and once I've done them, I'm fine, right? So thank you very much for listening. Let me know how you like it. Enjoy this YouTube video if you liked it. Actually, the other way around. Like this video when you enjoyed it. And thank you for listening and watching. I'll see you again tomorrow, hopefully. Enjoy the rest of the first day of the week. And glad to have you. See you tomorrow.